Hello, fierce ones, and welcome to our monthly conversation series, The Fierce, Fun, and Fantastic Women Among Us, happening on the fourth Friday of every month. I'm Jenn Baljko, founder of Always On My Way and your Joy Journey companion and guide. In this series, we spotlight a member of our Fierce Awakened Woman community and learn about their fierce awakenings and how they're bringing their unique gifts out into the world. Today, I'm chatting with Mar Guerrero. Hi, Mar. How are you?
Good, very good. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love the fierce woman, so I'm very happy to be here. Yes.
Thanks, Mar. It's great having you. I'm glad you said yes to the invitation. Let me tell you a little bit about Mar before we jump in. Mar has been teaching languages for more than 20 years. Her transition to the language of the stars was a natural process of diving into the symbols that talk to us from nature, the nature of the land, the nature of the cosmos. And it was also her next step in her quest of discovering what it means to be human, fully human. Mar is a shamanic breathwork facilitator, an interpreter of the cosmic patterns, meaning an astrologer with a special focus on shamanic astrology. She's also a Reiki master and a tarot reader. Mar has a master's degree in literature and applied linguistics, and she has been working on her PhD in psychology and philosophy, where she is attempting to understand what it means to be human and how human growth and development takes place when learning new cultures and languages. Diving into her own soul journey has taken her to facilitate and hold space for others' transformational process. She is deeply called to inspire others to find the courage they need to transform wounds into medicine for themselves and for the world, while trusting that human beings are capable to manifest the impossible. She believes we are possible together. And she founded Almakhemy with that intention. We are not meant to do this alone. I met Mara in 2020. We were classmates questing to prepare and host our first global online summits. And we've been on intersecting paths for the remainder of 2020 and into 2021. And Mar, it's so nice to see you again.
Yes, so nice. And it's so nice how you read my bio. It's always interesting to hear your own words read by a different person. It
Is
sounds
it?
like you didn't write that. You just came.
Well, but it is you glowing. Like I feel that in your words, right? This quest to discover what it means to be human.
Yeah.
This actually feels like a good starting point. Like, how's that quest going for you?
Difficult. It's been very difficult, and it's been very challenging in a way because since I was a teenager, I was a very spiritual being. Like I was part of a church, and it was just because it was the only way to be in contact with anything that it was soul based. And the only I'm from Spain, so the only option that I had was being part of the Catholic Church, and it was a very positive experience in many ways. But then in some other ways, I'm very rebel and I have a lot of Aries energy, and it was like, why this has to be like that? Like the whole thing regarding sex and regarding dogma in general, for me, were very difficult. I was lucky enough that it was possible to be me. I know, like in other people experiences regarding the Catholic Church, has been more dogmatic. Mine was open enough for me to be able to express who I was, but still it was like this Mar that it was like going to high school every day and who wanted to learn like philosophy and literature and art, and even choosing between math and science. I liked that, and I was very good at school and I liked it, and even having to choose, it was painful. Like I wanted to learn everything. Why do I need to choose between science and I like have good grades? I wanted to learn Latin and Greek. but these ways of like separating things in different boxes was always very like I felt that I couldn't breathe, that I couldn't be myself 100%. And and it was very clear knowing something is wrong with the system. And I knew since like when I was 16 or 17, I started writing a book with like a platonic love that was like he was like my best friend. And we started like I have the notes here. We started, we sit it down for a few days and we write it. Like he was more interested in the social part of it, like in the how to change the society and the economy. And for me, it was the psychology and creativity and education. And more than 20 years later, I'm still doing the same, but now I feel I have the reasoning behind. When I was a teenager, I only had the intuition something is wrong. We
Right.
need to change the system, but I didn't know how. I didn't know, like it was just an inner knowing, very clear. And then now is like, yeah, of course, after working in the educational system myself in high school, university, in 3 different countries, I worked in Spain, in the States, in a high school for 2 years, and in Thailand for 10 years in university. Is wrong. We are just taking away their potential. We are doing the opposite of what we need to be doing. And it's just like, how can we stop? So I think with this COVID and the pandemic has been a moment where people realize something that for me was always clear. There is something that is not working in the way that we are doing culture, in our belief systems. There is something that we forgot the sacred, and it's very important to have spirituality as part of everyday life. And so now I feel that there is this emergence that is very exciting. It's challenging, but it's exciting because at least like people that you don't even think that they will be open to astrology, suddenly they are open. And I don't know, it's changing. Something is changing, it's shifting, and it's very interesting to see.
I can deeply appreciate the fact that you, as a teenager, did not want to fit into one of those boxes. And I feel like I was in a similar route. Like, I'm a life learner. I want to learn everything all the time. But I feel like instead of trusting that inner knowing that I had, I tried to conform to those boxes. I tried to be that, okay, finish high school, go to university, get married, start a family, be the career woman. Like it was this path that I was on for a long time. And it's really only in my 30s that I discovered, oh, I don't want to do any of that. Like that's not at all what I want. Right? So I love that you found this wisdom early on and could move through it and then
Yeah, but
express it in
very
different
difficult.
cultures. But how did you
Yes,
like how were you able to really do that, right?
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, and I think that's the call of also going to live to a different country. Like you are living in a different country that is not your home initially, right? Like the place of origin, the same. It's like there's this need to discover how things can be done differently. But yeah, I never fit it. I'm not married. Like there are things in me that I know I cannot fit. It's just not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible. But your theme of the summit, which always resonates with me, is the theme of I am possible. So, in this way that you do not fit in the possibilities that society has kind of mandated for many of us, you found a way to say I am possible and break into this new space of discovering what's possible for you. How did you reach this sort of like not conclusion, but how did you kind of break out of that cocoon and say, this is where I'm going to stand? Did you face any, how did you deal with any sort of backlash of not fitting in?
It's still challenging, I think. It's
Yeah,
like
I think so
yeah,
too.
ever moving. And I think astrology comes into the picture here in a sense of that for me, and you read, right? Uh, I have done Reiki and shamanic breathwork, and everything has been like a blessing. But when I found astrology, it was the system that it could explain to me why I didn't fit and why it's very challenging in a way to be me. Like I have a very dynamic a T square, and even if we consider an asteroid Ceres, then I have like a grand cross. And it's in cardinal signs that are the ones that they build the culture and they initiate new culture. So I know I'm born to bring something that is just different and to give birth to, and to be not that I'm going to give birth to a new humanity, but there are some people that are going to be like the ones leading, and then others that will do different kind of work, because it's like we are all having different roles. And for me, having 3 planets in Aries is very clear that I kept seeing my teachers like, why don't they do that? Why don't they do that? And it's like, because I am the one meant to do certain things. So I feel in, well, they have the resources that I don't have. Why don't they do it? So the summit with this idea of I am possible is how our contradictions, and we can see that in the chart, like when you have opposing energies, T square stance, you normally go towards one side or the other, but then you're meant to do both.
Mm.
And it's very difficult. And it's when it's like that, it's just like it's tense. When you are choosing one, the other one is feeling like
Neglected.
abandoned, neglected. And then you're like, how? And that is what initiates creativity. Creativity comes from conflicts and contradictions. It doesn't come only from like, because if you're happy, if your life is wonderful, and you just stay there, you just enjoy the present, and there is no this uh, calling and this like cauldron of like alchemical things that you want to transform into something new. So yeah, normally people who have like T squares, oppositions, and hard aspects are the ones who bring a lot into the world because they don't have any other choice, basically.
Right.
Like it just tends to be them.
I think this is, and I've said it here in this group pretty publicly, like, I am claiming the fact that I love astrology and tarot and all of these esoteric things. And I feel the same as you. Like, I've had a deep knowing for a long time that this was part of me. But in the way that I moved, I was always more in those serious circles where that kind of stuff and the spiritual path was defined as religion, which of course clearly it's not. You know, you and I would probably agree on that. But this idea of waking up to astrology as there is actually there is a path for you. How how would you suggest that people begin to use that to create something that looks like a fierce awakening in their lives? Like, where do you start? Because I know you've thrown out some terms that, you know, I get a little bit, and maybe others are beginning to be curious about what is this T, you know, what is a trine and what is a grand cross and what does that really mean? Do you have some ways that people can start using astrology as a way to see their own becomingness, right? Like this state of constantly becoming who you are and learning more about who you are. Where can people start?
I personally feel that it's always very good to like get your own chart. If at the beginning you need a reading, but then even with a reading, I always feel that it's not enough in 1 hour, and it's another person telling you who you are, right? In a way, because there's so much. This is like it is infinite. So how much you can learn, right? So it's like getting the chart in astro.com, for instance. You can see where the planets are, and then like start tapping into like what other astrologers are saying. Be patient because it takes time. Astrology takes time. And I started like tipping into it in 2013, kind of like, and then when I get interested into something, I buy like 50 books about the topic. So when I did my first official course in astrology, and then I became certified in shamanic astrology, that is like the main background of my astrology. I already read like Richard Turner's, there is one of like the advanced books. It was like, no, I need to read perspectives and see. And even when as a shamanic astrologer, I cannot just follow. I need to find my own way to, because it's an interpretation of symbols at the end of the day. And that is what I was doing in literature as well. So I felt it was a very natural process, the same way that I can analyze a poem, I analyze a chart, is the same. I just focus on, and you hear the intuition as well and what the energy of the person is telling you. So I recommend chart reading. It's a very, you have had it,
Yeah.
right? Like read, and it helps to make peace. Normally, the feeling that I have when I read a chart is that it's okay to be you. So don't try to be someone different. Stop trying to fit in boxes, because every single person is unique. And for me, when I was thinking this morning about fears that I love, is super Aries. So it's like fierce woman is like, it's very, not everyone has to be that kind of fierce. For some people, being fierce is going to be very nurturing, and we do need nurturing. And for other people, it's going to be a mystic. So if you have like 5 planets in Pisces, you're not going to be fierce in a way. You are going to be much more. And that's for
Fantastical.
me. For fierce is to be authentic.
Yeah.
So like, take your breastplate, like your armor, and just put it away and just say, I am who I am. If you don't like it, it's okay. We cannot be liked by everyone.
Right. And I think the starting point is you have to begin to like you the most. And I
Yes,
feel like for women, like this is a tough issue because
yes,
we've grown up first being who we need to be for other people, right? Be the good daughter, be the good student, be the good girlfriend, be the good wife, be the good mother, be the good caretaker to your parents. And then maybe when you're like 50 and the kids are out of the house and your parents have passed away, then maybe you could become who you are. But I don't know if women know how to always do that, right? To take off that armor of, or the shield that they put on, the mask they've put on, and start getting underneath that. And you mentioned that astrology is, well, I want to tie this back into the language we use also, because I get caught up in the semantics of words as well, in the words that we use to help others, right? This idea that you're broken and you have to fix yourself, right? That's language I can't really speak. And I love that you are tapping into the indigenous shamanic wisdom, the language of the stars, and then your background in language and communication and philosophy and psychology. Like, there are so many rich layers here of how we can explore our authenticity. How, like, how have you managed to connect those dots? Like, I know you say it's a natural process for you, but I think this is sort of leading into the question of your resources, like how you can resource from yourself to create different things for the world. This is part of your unique gift that you've discovered. And I feel like so many women who might be watching this, like, they have so much inside and they don't even know where to put it together, right? How to put it together.
yes. Yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. Like, one of the challenges that I have had in my life, it was okay, because I like so many things, and I have done like so many. Sometimes I feel even bad because people will think if she hasn't done so many, she's not a master of anything, right? It's this idea that we cannot. But it's true that and I don't have a partner, I don't have children, so it's okay. I decided to have more time to pursue my adventures. And it doesn't mean that you cannot do it, especially children. Partners is completely different, but having children or not makes such a big difference in your timetable every day, right?
Yeah, me
That's
too.
something
I'm
that
child
is
free.
there. So it's like I'm totally aware that all my friends who have children, they are in a different situation, and then finding time for themselves is just a different story that I don't know much. Like I can imagine, but I don't have the experience. So in my experience, it has been that my mission is very important. And as a triple Aries, is like having a mission is like very important. So the everything has been always regarding creativity, language, the way we think, and how like cultures are like my PhD. That was a very fierce decision for me. I quit it, but I still in my bio I said that I'm doing it because I feel I'm doing it still, and it's a book that will come one day. But as a PhD, I had to quit because I had this problem with academia that didn't accept my other side, that it was the mystic and the symbol and the right brain. So I have this fight always. And I feel what is very important for people is to find the core. Like when you find everything that you have done in your life, what is the repeating core in one concept or two? Like for me, I know is creativity. I know is a transformation and symbols. So everything like literature, there are symbols that you interpret. Astrology, there are symbols. Tarot, symbols, imaging, it's the same. Even in shamanic breathwork, you work with art as well. Like after the process, you do some mandalas and then you interpret the symbols. So everything is one thing. So finding that one thing that makes us like the trunk of the tree, where we can grow in every direction, but we know where our trunk is, I think is very uh, I don't know, nurturing. Is very like we feel rounded. But if some people, and I know cases of friends that are looking for the trunk, right? Like they see the branches, but they don't see how they all come together. Also make peace with that. That is the path now. And maybe if you are now in a moment where you're still looking for how to bring everything together, just keep looking. And one day, like I'm sure that one day, and astrology helps with that, I think. One day, like everything comes, and then you are like, I just have been doing the same in different ways. So, yeah.
It is it is eye-opening when you start realizing that there is a trunk with branches. I think it's a really good analogy of thinking of life like that sometimes because we're too I'm too scattered sometimes to remember what is holding me up? Like what is it that I'm standing on? Where am I rooted? And I don't feel like I always have roots. So this has been a journey that I've constantly discovering, and I feel like I have the trunk and the little baby trees over here, and I'm trying to nurture all of them too. But the mother tree, like what is your natural way of being grounded in the earth? And
And
I
I
love
feel
that.
also like there is this need for everyone, and especially for women, because we have a uterus, right? And we want to give birth. And even if we give birth to human beings, even that, we still want to give birth to like projects and recipes
Relationships and
and relationship. We want to give birth to life continuously. And it's not a logical process, it's not a linear because creativity is never linear. You required a little bit of chaos as well. And that's one of the problems. Like it's like if you're writing, right? We both write. If you sit down already editing every word that you're saying, you are just not writing.
right.
You need to sit, let things flow, and then afterwards you sit again with the saying, and then your role that moment is to edit, to cut, to add. But if you see it already, questioning every word, then you are not just moving forward.
Right.
And sometimes you also need to rest. Sometimes there is nothing to do. It's the gestating period. There is a book by Pinkola Estes that is
Yeah.
called Creativity. And
I
he
thought you were
talks
going to say the women who run with
uh,
wolves.
that's her well-known book, but this one is an audio book, and it's amazing. It's talking about that fall, and also like with the Venus cycle. I've been working a lot with the Venus cycle, and I think and it's something that is very dear to me to bring to the world to help people. Now it's more women, but I'm totally open to men as well, to bring forward the businesses, to bring forward their projects, their books, following a cycle that is natural, is not
Yes.
forcing things into happening, because sometimes it's just not the time.
Right. Yeah. I always think there's this, and it's sort of the divine feminine with the divine masculine of you need to have the flow and sort of that chaos of just dancing with life and however it shows up. But you also need that safe container and a little bit of the discipline and the direction held by the masculine, right? So there is this, sometimes you just, both of them need to be still. You know, the calm feminine, the calm masculine just needs to sit and listen. A word that comes always to me is like listen to the wind, like listen to just what's coming in, be there, let it percolate, and then dance with it and give it direction and discipline. And I feel like that's part of the creativity process that many of us are going to be starting to explore soon.
And regarding this, because this is going to be released the 25th of July,
Of June.
and June, sorry, but in July, I mean, in July, Venus, 25th of June, Venus will still be in Cancer, but she's moving to Leo at the end of June. And then in July, Venus and Mars are meeting. So I'm in Leo, that is like super creative, shining, celebrating life after all this dance. We both have like Capricorn energy, and is I love it. I know I love it. I'm solid, but
Right. But the Leo energy is going to be just put that into context. What does like because Venus is the way the feminine shows up in the world for us. Mars is of course the masculine side of that. But when they always kind of follow each other. Mars and Venus have this beautiful dance in the sky together, and meeting Leo, the lion, like this very sort of shining your light out into the world and having fun and playful. Like there's a playful regalness to Leah. All right. So how is this? How can we look for that? Like in coming in the end of June and July. Like what signs could we look for so that we're dancing with Venus and Mars in a way that's bringing a lot of integrity and helping us be more genuine.
I first will say, like, even without knowing your chart, these energies are like collective. So it's like in July, there is this call for everyone to connect. And also like Neptune, that is the planet of dreams, will station, and it's like retrograde. So it's like connecting with all these dreams and creating. And we can maybe feel the pull as well, because Mars and Venus in Leo will be opposing Saturn, that is like limitations. So observe how those obstacles that we see outside, it, regarding the things we want to create in our lives, normally are more inside. So, and create anyway without the inner critic saying, you're not talented, you're not good at, who do you think you are to write a book? Who do you think you are to show up? And very sexy as well. Like Venus and Mars together is like relationships, possibilities as well, and just enjoy life. We are alive, and now that there is more movement, we were talking about this before recording, right? Like we feel this shift into like we need to socialize, we need to celebrate. We are alive. It's difficult. world is going through a lot of changes, but still like celebrate the moment. And my invitation for that in July will be both like open to relationships, intimate relationships, if someone like is not into that, it doesn't have one, or also like with your partner to kind of like spice things up, and creativity as well, like dance, paint, and it doesn't have to be for a goal. We have this idea that if I sit to write, is going to be a book and I will have to publish it. It's not the pleasure of writing. Like every time, even when I post, the other day I posted, like I was very happy in an island in Thailand writing, and I just posted a picture, and then people were like, yes, you can do it. You will. And what I will? I'm doing it. I
Right.
was this morning having like a blast with myself, just with my computer entering in this world, with my coffee in a beautiful island. I'm doing it. Who cares if I never publish that book? I want to. But what I mean is that we focus so much in the final stage that we forget to enjoy the process.
Right.
And writing is beautiful. Then seeing, creating, painting is entering into another way of consciousness that is just necessary as human beings. And it brings so much medicine because our solutions for the problems right now globally are not going to come from here. They will come from a dream realm.
Yeah, from
Heart.
yeah,
Yes, and the heart. And Leo is
and
all
I'm
about
like
the heart.
heart from womb space, from all sorts of other places. Soul,
Like
intuition,
yes, afterwards, right? Like
right
this
afterwards.
afterwards. Yeah.
And I hope we can leave folks with that invitation, right? Of kind of get out of your head, get out of your own way here, and just, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it will be summer. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it will be going into winter, which is the natural time to start slowing down and being a little bit more in the hibernation mode of that. And then in the summer mode in the north, it is just kind of let go and have a little bit of fun in the best way that you can, right? Like that. I think that, and I hate sort of that word of we'll give you permission to do it. Like, you don't need my permission to do it, and you don't even need your own permission. But I feel like people need to be reminded to just be here now, be here and just see where summer takes you, see where Venus and Mars want to show up for you this month. But any last ideas, Mara, of how we can grab life and live with possibility?
I'll say that being authentic, like being who we are, so like whoever is listening, being you is the sacred work and is the sacred everything. Like it's just being fully you. And that is going to be different for every person. So the day that we stop comparing to each other, like there is no way if Jen and I bring forward the same, it won't be the same. So that creates co-creation, collaboration, because there is no competition. And then if you have this longing, wherever the longing is, there are two things for me that are keys to see the path if you are now lost. One is to see the dreams and the longing, and the other one is to see the fears. So wherever we are afraid of is a key of maybe there is something there for us. And wherever we are also longing and we keep bringing in different ways is also a key. So that's an invitation as well for the people who are a little bit lost in this like pursuit to know what is the life purpose. Our life purpose is to be who we are. That's it.
Isn't
That's-
isn't that the most simple statement that we could make? And it's also the most profound and rich.
and it's not easy.
No, Because we don't even know who we are, really.
Yeah, the key, right? Like that's the yeah. And the contradictions normally also like that for me, at least in astrology, was very illuminating to see I'm both. This is why I've been struggling my whole life. I was choosing between this and this, and I'm both. So that was so healing for me with astrology because I just saw outside like this validation that I really didn't need, but it was like, of course,
Of course.
I'm meant to do both. So this is why I was struggling. And for everyone who is struggling with different phases of themselves, like I want to be this, but I also want to be that, and how sometimes they're opposites. Like you have a very sweet person and a really angry person inside of you, and you don't know how, why.
Me.
Yeah, and
Sometimes, huh? And you,
both have a role, and
right?
they need to be listened. Like the planets are psychological um, functions, and they all need to be honored and listened. And then our life is just more authentic. Basically, it doesn't become easier, I think, but it becomes more true to who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. Becoming more true to who we are. I think that is the aim in this precious life that we live.
Yes.
And it's okay. It's okay if you don't know who you are. You're still becoming who you are. And it just always just and with the astrology, like, oh yeah, my sun and moon is in Capricorn, but that doesn't say everything, right? You have to look at like, wow, my Venus is in Aquarius, and my Mars, where is my Mars? Oh, my Mars is in my third house, right? Like, so of course there's going to be this big creative push that's like, the ideas of others and stuff, right? So it is layer by layer, just saying, oh, look at that, that's been with me since I've been 5 years old, and it's not gone away. It's something that's still in me. But I like this all, Mar.
Yes.
Go ahead, you were
And
going to say something.
yes, I was going to, like, we're about to finish, but I will say
Ah,
two
that's okay,
words.
we'll just keep going.
No, I was going to say, like, it doesn't even matter if it's astrology. Like, I have done I love astrology because it's the language that resonates with me, because it's very ancient. And I have a Capricorn moon that loves that, like, wisdom of age.
Me too.
And, you know, like,
Clearly, yeah.
and civilizations and the past and kind of like, but I like it also like looking at the stars, but then also like feeling inside how they're talking to me. But human design, Mayan calendar, uh, any system. What is very interesting, tarot.
Tarot,
So
yeah.
I have done so many
Oracle
things.
cards, yeah, all of it.
So when there is something that is important, it keeps coming in different ways. So it's like you go, and sometimes when you are lost, it's also nice to have mirrors that they are not going to fix you at
Right.
all because there is nothing to fix, but they're showing a part of you that maybe you are not owning. And the parts of us that we are not owning, they become against us. Like they become inside repressed, and then all the creative energy, if it's not used, it becomes a disease because we are not eased with the energy. Creative energy needs to flow. And right now, because we live in societies where creative energy, sexual energy is not harnessed in the right way, we are all frustrated. And women, we are so frustrated because nobody knows, nobody taught us how to our sexuality works.
Yeah.
and,
This is
and you keep saying that it's them who they want, like they are the ones who want sex, right? Like
right.
men.
Men. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And and I admit here, like on this stage, that this is up for me. This is really up for me. And it's coming through a little bit in the writing that I'm beginning, like, of whose pleasure matters. Right? And how can everybody's pleasure matter? Right? Like, and being in this space of, I think I'm just coming into my juicy crownness and saying, like, all these things I did not learn and all the things that I conditioned myself to know, there needs to be an unlearning kind of happening here and a more fully expressed me of trying to put words around that. And it's really difficult if you've been with a partner for a long time. It's difficult to start putting those words around that and saying, yeah, can you do like something different today? Like, can we spice it up? Like, can we do something different? Because you have to be willing to have that courage to do it in a sort of a gentle, tender way, right? So that the other party doesn't feel rejected either. But there is this very sort of I'm working with the dark goddess Lilith. Like she's coming up to me in 2020, 2021, and like really taking a force. And well, Lilith, for those of you who don't know yet, like Lilith is in history theoretically the first wife of Adam in the Garden of Eden. You know, like all of these stories, who knows like what the myth is, but the myth is that she's the first wife of Adam, and basically she wanted to be on top during sex, and Adam cast her out out of the Garden of Eden, and then Eve came along later. But the dark side of Lilith is this strong woman who knew what she wanted in life and wanted to dance with the masculine in a different way, and the masculine rejected her. So that feels like a deep wound in my own space that's coming up. But it is this being who you are, and being all of those things at the same time, all the time.
Yes. Yes.
How we do this, Mar, I don't really know.
Situation, right? Like with this Venus and Mars meeting, like the cosmic lovers meeting in the sky. How can we make peace with our inner cosmic lovers within, masculine and feminine within us, and then also with the partners, and then dance and take roles. Like for me has been always very difficult because I do have a lot of masculine energy in me. So I always felt that I'm too much for men, right? And they feel like little, or like, oh, she knows too much, or she's like too passionate, or and then I retreat. But it's all in my mind. It's my own obstacles because I'm sure that the day that I'm like, that's it. This is who I am. If you don't like it, it's okay. If you want a softer woman, I'm just not for you. And that's fine. Because I can also be soft and just take roles and that's it. Like I dance, social dance, salsa, bachata, kizomba.
Oh,
And I love it because like I'm a follower and it's been very difficult to learn because you need to trust and let go. But I love taking roles, like because for me becoming the leader is easier. And I also like leading when dancing. And why we in the sexual encounter is the same. Why we cannot take roles and now like the woman is behaving more in a masculine way and the man and the other way is like we need to play with it. Why it has to be always one way, no? And be creative. So it's interesting that this is coming, because I didn't think about it before, but yes,
it's a fascinating way it comes, right? Like when you realize you're in the energy of something that's not, or that is yours, but that is something going on around you, and you can say, oh wow, this is actually something. It is that part. It is that key for me. It's that mirror of saying, where did I lose that, or what? Why did I like? What did I even have it in the first place? Like I don't even know, right? Like I don't even know. It's a lot of conditioning, right? A lot of unwiring what we think we already know, and being open and willing to accept that there might be an alternative, and saying, all right, let's give it a try. Let's just, with my, impulsive Aries, let's just go give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
yeah, but life is like that. Experiment, right?
Right.
And if it doesn't work, it's okay. Nobody dies.
Yeah. Right. Oh, fingers crossed, hope, knock wood, all that stuff, right? Like
Try
the
to
managed risk, Capricorn, like feet on the ground still.
I always say that to my students when I'm teaching like languages or teaching anything. It's like, try. If you make a mistake, nobody dies.
Right? Nobody, like, it's not a big deal.
Need to learn how to make peace with making mistakes. It's okay. It's
Right.
part of the package of being human.
Yeah. And good luck on your constant exploration in this humanity that we all are trying
It's
to
okay.
figure out. The study of human behavior is a
Yeah.
many lifetimes of work. It's, but Mar, tell us where people can find you.
So my website is Almakhemy, as it is written below
Hmm.
the video, because it's
Yep.
a mix of Spanish and English, so
Yep.
it's not that easy. And then the same for like YouTube, and the summit that I did, I Am Possible, is still available. So if anybody wants to watch anything, and yeah,
Yeah. And I'll
that
put those
that's
links into the comments as well.
yes.
But, well, and let me just spell it for people too, because in case they don't see it or are just listening, it's Almakhemy. That's where you'll find Mar. If you .com, right? .com. Yeah. So you'll find it Almakhemy, which is the
And
mix of soul and alchemy, right?
yes, 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 yes. So it's mixing alma and soul in Spanish, and then alchemy is the transformational. Yeah, because I didn't want to use healing anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
I get that.
So alchemy has this idea that whatever wounds we have, they are the compost that we need to create, and that creativity, I think, is like the key for solving so many problems, like not only individually, globally, is the key. Because if we educationally, for instance, like for me working in the educational system, if instead of limiting the potential, if we harness that, there's so much in every human being. Only one human being can do so much. So if we really build a world where schools, universities, I work more like with adults already, and when they come to me, they're already like,
They're
this
already
is
in
about the
there.
brain.
Yeah.
Like, no, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this with our children? And is let's stop it. Let's do change the mindset, so every single person has something unique to bring to the world. And that is something that for me has been always crystal clear. And the day that we are all tapping into our full potential, we are going to be a beautiful humanity. Well, we will struggle still, but at least we are not like feeling like this anymore. Yeah.
Let's make the world according to Mara a possibility. Like, I love it. It's a great vision. Huh?
Possible. Yeah, 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 just totally.
Sweet Mara, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Very fun.
Yeah, very fun. Glad you were able to join us. Take good care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.